Hi, welcome to Barmy Army fan cams. After a 0-0 draw with City in the Conti Cup, we did win on penalties, mind. Probably means we're not going to progress out of the group. Anyway, let's talk about it. I'm joined this evening by Fiona, Ian, Jake and Jack. Jake, start us off. Your thoughts on a performance that certainly didn't hit the heights of the second half from Saturday?
Yeah, it just felt flat the whole game. Like there was no spark. There was such little desire to get forward and sort of cause trouble for City's defence. I feel like that's the sort of mentality that they had as well. City were happy to just play calmly, knowing that they're essentially already through. And we needed more urgency. We didn't have it. And even when the players like Jess Sixworth came on, Ella Toon came on, didn't really make a massive impact. And the few clear-cut chances we did have, we didn't convert.
Jack, bearing in mind that we've now got one of these wonderful international breaks that we so adore, it means that we've not got a game for a while. Yes, some of the players obviously are going off on international duty, but there was no sense for me that we needed to rest anybody, we needed to protect anybody. It wasn't a performance that had a lot of energy in it. Were you disappointed?
No, it wasn't.
Motivation there.
I don't know if motivation was the issue. I think it's like difficult to put my finger on it. Like Jake said, it was a bit flat. Felt like, especially after Saturday, a bit of a damp squib. Not much going on. I did think that we did enough probably to edge it, because we did have chances with Lauren and Kirsty in the first half, and in the second half with Tobin's chance, and maybe a couple of other moments. Of course, Jess towards the end. And we weren't clinical enough. It wasn't like the Arsenal game or the last City game where we were piling on the pressure, but I do think that we did enough to win, but at the same time, the urgency wasn't entirely there. Why was that? I'm not entirely sure. We didn't need any players. I think that it was good to maybe give a few players that haven't started, like Lucy Staniforth and Katie sat out on Saturday. So I think it was good to give other players a chance. But I think that a few of them didn't really take the chance. And unfortunately, I'm looking at Lauren mainly, who for me just didn't really do anything, not on Saturday and not today either. And we know what potential she has, and I'm sure that she'll show it maybe in other games, but she didn't show it at all against Manchester City. And these are the games that, really the top level ones. And as you probably mentioned, even though it was nice to win on penalties, it leaves us out of the competition. And whilst currently we sit top, realistically, this and the FA Cup are the two that we can go for to actually win. So this apparently is out the window now, if I'm understanding correctly. The rules, the amazing rules that the FA have chalked up.
Yeah, looks to be that way. Fiona, just following off something that Jack said there about Lauren in particular, was there anybody today that you think we really missed? And I'm thinking maybe of a player of players, it might be, you want to say, who maybe they're not fit, maybe they didn't get any game time, maybe we're still waiting on them coming back, somebody that's on the periphery. Is there anybody you think would have made a difference today?
I think it has to be Russo, because she was clinical, and we didn't have many chances, but the chances we did have, a clinical striker would finish them. I don't know if I'd necessarily say anybody else. Like, I don't think Tooney, when she came on, she didn't have much of an impact. But I also think her replacement, Lucy Stifel, had a very good game for her first start. So I don't think that there was anybody else in particular that was missing. Maybe if Press was up to the level we expect from her, maybe, but she hasn't been so far. So again, not another massive miss. And Hayley Ladd hasn't been up to the levels of last season. So I wouldn't say we're necessarily missing her, but also I don't think we necessarily needed her quite a lot of the game. Katie was doing a good job, Jackie was doing a good job, Amy was like stepping forward. So again, nobody really missing. And the players that did come in, I don't think they necessarily made it like a name for themselves to say, okay, yeah, you need to start the next game. I think Lucy Stanford did a good job. Maybe her, but I don't see it from the rest of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, Ian, did that Liverpool game do us in terms of it's obviously put us at a disadvantage points wise, but also City came for a draw at most today, because obviously a draw for them means that we also draw and we can't then get above them. That Liverpool game, especially with our Everton game, our whole campaign feels like it's been a bit of a mess. The Liverpool game obviously was a mess. The Everton game, and now this. It feels like it's never properly got going. And that's kind of how today felt. City came here, happy to take the point, don't even care probably that they've lost on penalties. For pride, obviously, they'd wanted to win. But that Liverpool game, that, for me, feels like it's done us in.
Yeah, it has done. But also at the time when we played the Liverpool game, we also were thinking that if Liverpool finished boss in the group, which we thought they would do, because we would think they would get beaten by City and get beaten by Everton, that result wouldn't actually count.
Right. Ian, explain this one to us, because the rules have changed, haven't they?
Yes. When the Conti Cup draw was announced, well, I say Conti Cup draw, Conti Cup, we placing you in teams into groups that we like. It was said that the top team in each group will automatically qualify, and the best two runners-up would qualify as well for the quarterfinal stage. Those top two qualifiers, the other two qualifiers would be based on your position in your group, points-wise, goal difference-wise, excluding the result against the team that finished bottom of the group with the groups that had 4 teams in them, because also there's a group of 3 teams, and which is why they even it out. So to even it out, you take out the results against the bottom team, so everybody's first, second, third, all groups, all the results count the same.
And yet,
Right on to yesterday, when we were all still thinking that was the thing, and then suddenly some people start tweeting, oh, it's going to be points per game. And it turns out it's now points per game against an all results count. So suddenly that Liverpool result matters, and it matters a lot.
Yeah.
And it puts us at a disadvantage, because immediately you then look at the goal difference involved with City in first, and us to have to pass them to get into first to guarantee yourselves through, because you can't guarantee second's going to qualify you. We're -2 on goal difference, and City are +5. So immediately that puts us in a significant disadvantage, because we need to swing it. We probably had to win one game, probably beat City 2-0, 3-0, and then beat Everton again 3-0 to be on top of them on goal difference. So, so that Liverpool game did cost us, and I don't know why we didn't perform that game. We just didn't turn up that game. I'll be honest. But again, today City came out. The City changes. They still wanted to win, but it wasn't a team that should lose. But they didn't come. Today just didn't feel like there was any urgency in the game today from either side.
Yeah, it just felt like they both almost got to the end stages of the group, and today would have normally been the last group game, and both teams knew a draw was going to put them through. We've seen it happen countless times before in Cups competitions in groups anyway. I can't get my head around the fact that you start a competition with one set of rules and then change it midway through. Jake, you are a massive, massive fan of the Conti Cup. Does the fact they've shifted the rules and they've shifted so much of the construction of it this year, does that change anything for you? Or is it still a case of that's a cup competition, you wanted us to go out there and still win it?
Yeah, look, whatever competition it is, you want the players to go out, show some heart and want to win. But it could be in the league, could be the FA Cup, Conti Cup, obviously. But the rules have been, even from the start, I was sort of struggling to understand them before, obviously, the whole change that's been announced in the last few days. So, yeah, it's been strange. It's not been straightforward. So, whereas in the past we've enjoyed it, we've sort of known what we need to do each game. But it's just, I don't know. It's like the girls haven't been up for it, and I hate to say that, but you look at the Liverpool performance; it was dying. Also we erase it from our memories. Tonight wasn't a lot better. I think the only thing that makes it better is the fact that City weren't playing proper football either. It's again a forgettable game. We're effectively out now. It's strange. Someone said it in the watch long. It's bittersweet. We've beaten our City rivals on penalties. We should all be ecstatic. And a normal knockout cup competition, we would be, but it's not. And they've done the job, we haven't, which is the most ironic thing to say when we've won.
Jack, any pride, joy, satisfaction, positivity that can be taken from a clean sheet against City?
Yeah, I think so. I will say that I'll add on and say that the rules, like I was listening to Ian, just the rules being explained even before the change, it's like, what? And I'll admit, okay, that this is part of the competition to begin with, but the idea of there being a penalty shootout in a group stage just to gain an extra point, that kind of doesn't ring entirely true with me either. It looks a bit odd. Again, the rules for women's football, just in general, is very, very strange things. I'm not entirely the FA Cup can't go on because the level of the clubs is different. The men could continue last season, the women couldn't, so it was decided on points per game. But now they can continue it, even though we are unlocked. And it's like that thing with boys are considered elite, girls are considered grassroots, so they can't continue the academy that Casey spoke about. All very, very strange in terms of decision making. And in terms of pride, though, not going to lie, seeing Alex Greenwood miss a penalty, even though up until obviously she moved to City, and even now that she's at City, I don't hate, she's done what she wanted to do, and good luck to her. I hope she enjoys 5th place. But seeing her miss a penalty, the penalty that mattered in the end, it's nice to, even if it means nothing, which it does mean absolutely nothing because we're out of the competition. I mean, I'd rather, if somehow we could guarantee getting through this stage in order to go on and win the competition, I would change everything about this game. But considering the circumstances where we can't, where we're not going to go through, winning on penalties, you take it. Having a bit of a laugh at City's expense, you take it. A clean sheet, you take it. I don't think, other than the chances that United, and specifically, I'm very sorry, but specifically Rambo nearly presented to Manchester City, other than that, I don't think that they really troubled us. I can't remember a save that Rambo had to make. And on the flip side of that, yes, our level wasn't where it should have been, but again, we still could have scored the 1 or 2 goals in the game. We didn't, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, and at the end of the day, there are some positives to take out of it.
Okay, Fiona, were you surprised at, bearing in mind I've said there's an international break coming up, we came off the game on Saturday, were you surprised at some of the changes that Casey made, knowing that we had to win this game?
Not completely. I think the only one for me is LJ, because I have a problem with her. That isn't her best position. Put her in midfield if you want to play her. And we've seen how well Jackie plays when there's a striker that will run onto some of her balls and that kind of thing. So that was kind of the one for me. But I also see like why Press maybe didn't start. You have her off the bench as an impact sub, that kind of thing. Some of the substitutions as well. If we're going for the win, we're going all out and you bring on Hayley Ladd. Granted, she can do some good passing or whatever, but you'd consider that a defensive substitution. Yeah, Casey didn't need to rest players. You can't really say they'd be fatigued either. It was Saturday and then Thursday. Maybe she was thinking getting some minutes in players, because it was unlikely that we'd get out the group. I think Shane has explained on the watch along, it did require more than just us winning our last 2 games. I think at one point he was explaining how the goals need to change for us. So maybe Casey was thinking like that, but I also think Casey wants to win, and the players are good enough to get a win if we were clinical enough.
Yeah.
And that's been our problem this season. Isn't just this game, it's been the Arsenal game, it was the City game on Saturday. It's not just this one-off.
Yeah. Ian, before we come on to everybody's favourite last question, first of all, well done for keeping up on the Twitter account with the penalties. Big credit to you for that one. Don't know how you managed to keep up with it, but absolutely appreciate that. We've now got this gap. What do we need to be working on? I know a lot of players are going to international camps, but those players that are left behind, and perhaps those players that are still trying to get minutes, trying to get fit, come back from injury, what does Casey need to be working on with them? Is it the old chestnuts of tighten the defence, be more clinical? Is it that simple still?
The defence is getting better. We're not there yet. I still think we're not fully there in the defence, but it's got to be the clinic. We need to be more clinical in front of goal. The issue is, you look at our main strike force, and Casey doesn't have them. They're all most of the front lot are going away with it on international duty. Tobin and Christian are off to the Netherlands for a US national team camp and playing the Netherlands. They're over there. Obviously, Jackie's away. Alessia's obviously, we're not going to see her for a few months through a hamstring injury. So really, all that's left behind is Jess. I don't know if there's a youth camp going on at all for any of the under 21s or under 23s, but I'm assuming that she'll only have Jess, Ivana left as the strikers to keep going with. So, and she'll give and they'll have 2 or 3 days off as well in there. So there's not a lot of the team that Casey can do much with, if we're honest, during the next few weeks. But I do think that Kristen might actually get a lift from this US camp, because those girls haven't met up properly. I know they had a US camp back in the US last month, I think it was. But all the international base players were obviously not in that because they can't be returned to they couldn't return to the US for obvious reasons. But at least the more meeting up in Europe, I think will do I think all the US based, all the US national team players in Europe will do them good. I think it'll do Christian good. But as I said, this international break comes again at a really bad time.
Absolutely kills momentum, don't they?
It does. But the thing is, it happens in the men's game as well, right at the beginning of the season. Men have had 2 breaks. Women have now had this, now on to their 3rd break. I think this is the 3rd break. But then we've got another break in February. There's no break for the men until the end of March. So breaks are
on them break. Ian, our thinking on international breaks. Get rid of them. Just club football all the way through. Okay.
No, as I said to you the other day, going for the international breaks in a couple of years' time are ridiculous. So
let's not worry about that just now. We'll have that nightmare to come. The FA could change the rules again. They'd like to do that. Anyway, right. Last question, really quickly. One name only. Player of the match. Fiona.
Lucy Staniforth.
Ian.
Lucy Stan.
Jack.
Let's go with Amy.
Okay. Jake.
No one covering themselves in glory. Honour. She's improved from Saturday.
Okay. Split decision there. Lucy Stan just edges it. Thank you both. Thank you all very much for joining me. And thank you for anybody who's watching. We've got a bit of a break now. God bless internationals. But we'll catch you again soon. I think we've got Villa next month. So we'll see you then. Cheers. Bye-bye.